Hello guys, I'm the Shockwave King and we're back here once again. And yes, you saw the title of the video. Will Itagaki ever evolve? Some might be like, what do you mean? What do you mean evolve? Itagaki at one period of time was one of the best, one of the strongest featherweights of his generation. What do you mean? Well, to me it's quite simple. From the very beginning, Itagaki has always had fast hands, good footwork, and to a certain degree, good timing, and can throw volume combination punches like he's a young Sugar Ray Leonard. That is who he's always been. But besides from that, ever since he showed up, name a singular time where he had to train, like with a brand new technique or something. Name a singular time where he actually had to switch up his style or bring something new to the table. He hasn't. Against Sayeki versus Kurosawa, versus Amai Part 1 and 2, versus Makino, he's always fought the exact same way. He has never changed. He haven't tried to go for counters. He has been the exact same fighter since the first time we've met him, and nothing's changed. Like, one of the biggest pieces of evidence for this, in my opinion, is when Itagaki was training for Amai versus Itagaki training for Amai Part 2. So, for those who can recall what happened in the manga, back when Amai and Itagaki were first supposed to go off against each other, it's obviously that Itagaki wanted to beat Amai. Very obvious that he wanted to. And sure, Amai eventually bring up the whole deal, oh, if I win, I get to ask at your sister, which I don't see why he need to ask Itagaki that in the first place when, you know, it's not like Itagaki is your friend or anything. You just go and ask Nanako. But alright then, Amai. Alright, just then again, it's not that bad to ask for family information. So maybe he just wanted to be the polite man to do it the right way. I can't just ask out my rival's girlfriend without his blessing. So maybe it's from that perspective reasonable. But if you look at Itagaki, like, he wasn't really sparring too much with Ippo from what I can remember. And even then, what was his plan for Amai? The same old usual thing. Use his footwork. And sure, that he started doing some infighting, yes. But that's pretty much it. Now, look at Amai in the second fight. And the way he explained his training. And how he grounded his head into the corner. And was just punching and punching and punching. Amai had the drives. The hatred. The want. The ambition to knock Itagaki out as early as he can. Because remember, this is Itagaki, this is Chronos, this is the man who slows down time to his opponents when he starts to move. This is the man who dashes away from front of you like his flash. And he gets beaten by such a basic strategy and gets humiliated. It is so bad that later on, after Ippo loses to Alfredo Gonzalez, Kimura and Ioki don't remember the match. Is all taken away by Ippo versus Freddy Gonzalez. Is it a bigger fight? Yes, it is a bigger fight. It's Ippo on the world stage. It's nothing like two Japanese fighters fighting for a vacant title of the person who's going against the number 2 in the world. It's not really comparable. Reasonable. But the fact that basically it's almost like the match didn't happen, and this was also around the start of, you know, the quote-unquote Itagaki slump, and it leads some credence to why the slump started around this time, because no one talked about Itagaki fight. This is the first time Itagaki didn't get some type of high praise. This took him back to the first time he lost to Makino due to, you know, fouling in a split decision. And even then, that Itagaki still wanted to get better. That Itagaki still had a drive, but this one, he saw a loss. And if you pay attention, Itagaki says a very interesting thing in chapter, like, I think it's posted Alfredo Gonzalez Night chapter. I forgot what it's called. Itagaki's, like, Kimura Aoki points out, oh, we're used to losses. You know, we're experts in this type of thing, so it can't be used for Ippo. Itagaki says an interesting thing. He says that is something I hope I never end up like Itagaki, like Kimura and Aoki. He says, I hope I'll never end up like them, having victory be a usual thing. And the sad reality is, Another concern of why I'm worried about Itagaki and his evolve, aside from the fact he's been in the slum, the fact that he haven't been changing, the fact that he's been trying to infight like an idiot, trying to impress Ippo for no apparent reason. Another thing is, what happened to the last genius prodigy we had at Hajime Ippo? A person who was hyped up to be this unstoppable fighting machine. Even Takamura, Aoki, and Kimura was convinced that Amai was gonna beat Ippo or something like that. It was only I can't say Aoki. Aoki believed in Ippo after being the sparring partner, but everybody else was cracking jokes. Oh, it's just Ippo doesn't have a chance, and while Aoki, you're betting on a dark horse, and things like that. But Aoki was the only one. And who is that man? It is the dragon himself. It is Hajime, a character who has showed back up, won't take time off, and haven't changed his style since then. Now you look at him compared to Itagaki. Hajime and Itagaki are very similar. They both are genius prodigies. They both had decent footwork, and most importantly, they both have fast hands, and they are volume punchers, overwhelming their opponents with such vicious combinations that arguably it's criminal to ref and stop the fight early. But what's also another comparison is Ippo. And unlike unlike Itagaki, Hajime only lost to Ippo, and then he went on to lose to Kobashi, which is not really a thing that's really sad, since Kobashi did show to have somewhat of decent punching power. He was getting Ippo a run for his money for one period of time, as in, you know, shaking up Ippo's legs. But besides from that, he's been straight down and lost 8 times. And the only reason why it's only 8 times, in my personal opinion, is purely because it's a mandatory, you gotta take 3 months off. So basically, you only pretty much had like 2 fights per year, and it's been about like what, like 6 years since Ippo fought Hajime. That's how you got 8 losses. He's only been fighting like 2 times a year, or 1 time a year, depending how bad the beating was. So it's one of those things where it's concerning, because he hasn't evolved. Itagaki, he hasn't changed. He hasn't switched up his style. He hasn't tried to go for like a counter. He hasn't tried to use his footwork, and it's sad because like against people in a similar realm, like Itagaki, like Sayeki and Kurosawa, what did he do? Oh, Shinoda, oh, just focus, and he just basically always wins with his natural talent to a certain degree. You don't really see him break anything down to his boxing IQ or anything like that. And remember, people like to criticize and talk about Miyata like he just doesn't do anything, but at least Miyata put forth the effort to train and actually try to improve his skill, unless he listens to his trainer / his inspiration, his father, Miyata Senior. When Miyata Senior is like, oh, you just can't use straights and straight punches and like right hooks all your life, and like in hooks all your life, you need an uppercut. And what did Miyata do when Sino showed up to his doorstep, just like, you know, I want to spar with Sino? He's just like, I'll get in the ring with him, Dad. I'll show you your style is still fantastic. And from that same merit, you can argue that Miyata hasn't evolved, but he has, with the joke counter, with the full body counter. I think he used against Randy Boy Jr., which is in my opinion one of the most overhyped characters. I despise Randy Boy Jr. But I'll make a video about that. But Miyata has evolved. Miyata has put in the further effort to change up his style and not the exact same thing. He has. But Itagaki hasn't. Itagaki has done the same thing he's always done. Natural talent, footwork, and that's it. Natural talent, footwork, and that's it. Even Amai, who can argue he's just bare bones, was able to beat him. And I'm sorry, what does Amai actually have? He's a 2nd generation Ippo with a good liver blow and maybe a gazelle punch, and that's it. Amai's not really anything special. He's a hard-working machine, just like Ippo, or just like Ippo was before he got the Dempsey roll. Because the only thing Ippo really had, especially during season 1, for most of the season, was the liver blow and the gazelle punch, and then the Dempsey roll only showed up after he lost. Amai has never officially got knocked out. So arguably, no matter how bad or like say how average a might look or seem, apparently whatever he's doing is working. Because even as Japanese champion, he's slaughtering people. Oh, Japanese champion don't mean nothing. Really? When Ippo's first title defense against Sanada, he was struggling to a certain degree, and Sanada wasn't a joke. The same title defense where even Hammer now, who's not really a fantastic fighter in his own right, was able to give Ippo a run for his money temporarily. The same Japanese competition that bred the unstoppable, unbreakable talent of Sonomaru Ruhei, one of arguably the most talented fighters the series have ever seen, and just got, sadly, his potential was crippled because of his own mistakes. I'm sorry. You would have gotten to that bike and just would have walked home that night, the Dragon would still have a career to this day. Because in my opinion, he was a changing person. But for Itagaki, what has Itagaki done really? Like to change or to become better? Because just like Hayami, what did Hayami have? He had the shotgun. That's what he always had. He always had the shotgun. And like some distant feet. No, he had the shotgun and the short upper. And what did he have against Kobashi? The exact same thing. What did he have about that last fight we seen Hayami in? The exact same thing. Hayami hasn't changed. Just like Itagaki hasn't changed either. Because what Hajime Ippo has proven time again, just because you have good talent doesn't mean anything. It has proven it with Brian Hawk. It has proven it with characters like I can't really say it. I guess you could say to a certain degree Randy Boy Jr. It has been proven with multiple different characters that raw talent does not equivalent anything fantastical or that you're going to automatically win. Those two are not the same thing. Those two, without any if you have a raw natural talent, you need to go to the blacksmith or somewhere to refine that talent to a fine tip to become beyond just raw energy, become beyond just a raw mineral, to become a refined diamond. But Itagaki hasn't done that, and we have seen what happened to characters who don't do that. Like characters, for as example, Brian Hawk. He was crippled after that. His entire mentality, like Deontay Wilder, was crippled. Hayami, his career has been stagnant ever since. Even the likes of Kobashi, who arguably had the lightest fist in the division, discovered that he was a secret, somewhat power puncher, and was able to knock him out. And that's after Hayami even moved down a weight class. How does that happen? So Itagaki doesn't change, and it's quite sad because as soon as he get a cool nickname as Kronos, which fit his style, he gets knocked out by Amai, who doesn't even have like a unique name. No one even had Amai winning. He was the underdog. He was the man who struggled. He was the man who was, and it's odd because before in high school it was just Itagaki who, yeah, it was Itagaki the one who was struggling. It was Itagaki trying to keep up to Amai, but ever since he lost to Itagaki in the rookie championships, he has not been the same. It is similar to how Ippo and Miyata was chasing after each other after the Rookie King tournament. The same reason why Miyata went over to Korea and started fighting different levels of competition. He wanted it. He wanted it more than anything else. He had the ambition, and he had the hate. And this time it wasn't about no woman either. Cause she did later go on to meet the Itagaki household, but that was pretty much it. Like when it referred to the second fight, there was like no fun and games. There was no he chitty chatter. Amai just wanted to win. At that moment, Nanako didn't matter. She didn't mean nothing to him because he had one single objective, and that was to win. No matter how many punches, how much blood had to be spilled, he was going to win, and he executed a fantastic plan. So it's just, what do you do? Like honestly, look at Itagaki's career. Look at the warning signs we have seen with characters who don't do anything with their natural talent. Arguably, the reason why Takamura is so good because he spent all his work in the gym. Honestly, Takamura really doesn't have a life. He really doesn't. He really doesn't do anything with his army of porno mags and porn tapes. like he doesn't do anything, to be honest. So it's not like Takamura just I just go in there and just that. Now I can't confirm that filler episode 76 is canon or not. Maybe then Coach Kogama just like like Takamura have great prowess, but has great potential, but you need to work on your left jab. The same left jab that shaved Takamura, the same left jab that was able to dive in and do a double jab against Brian Huck, the same left jab that have done this and that. So when you add all this, it's not looking good for Itagaki, and I wish the best for him. However, the Itagaki and Ippo split happened. Hopefully he doesn't end up like another Hajime, because arguably, like seeing that whole line of, I don't want to end up like Kimura or Yokonoa lost Fair Lights. Could it be some type of foreshadowing? Because it would be messed up to see Itagaki end up like that. But you also got to remember that he's not the first. Nor will he be the last boxer to end up like that. It is sad because I like Amai. Even as he was losing, even though he was built up as some type of pretty boy, it's not like Hajime didn't care. It's just that Hajime didn't want to evolve. Like even Mishima had become like infighter was like a difficulty for him to a certain degree. And then he became an infighter destroyer. Sendo, outboxers was a problem because he had a low guard and they had faster hands to him. Even he became an outboxer destroyer with Sayeki, with characters like Jose Nargo, and defeating recently Freddy Gonzalez, the second strongest man in the world. Now technically we don't know who the #1 contender is, because it wasn't implied that Alpha was the #1 contender, so maybe he might come up, maybe he might not. And then again, we still have that character that's supposed to be based off of Daisuke wannabe that haven't showed up, so. But also, fun fact, the guy who was the door guy inside the Mahjong chapters, apparently that man is real. That's an actual person. Like if you go to Joe's Twitter, that's a real man. And he actually owned like a Mahjong parlor in Japan. When did this happen? Huh? I thought he was just some random guy, but he got the exact same glasses, mustache, and everything. Sorry to get off topic, but it was just, when I saw that, I was like, what? What witchcraft is this? This man is real? I forgot the reason I checked out the Twitter. No, he made a comment about hopefully being able to voice act that character after spending weeks with George. And George just like, let me get cut out of the anime, especially after the way they butchered season 3. I'm sorry, I like season 3, but you didn't have to do that to Sambuca like that. But back on topic. But I really wish the best for Itagaki, and I really do hope that he can turn his career around, because arguably he hasn't done anything at all. Like, what has he done? Like seriously, what has he done since he lost to Amai? What former Ippo opponents or Japanese competition is he fighting? None. None. Like, seriously. Takamura humiliates a lot of people. But remember, he said he didn't want to end up like a Yoki and Kimura. But what happened that he had that mud fight when Ippo was trying to be his second? He was thrown into the same boat as Kimura and Aoki. I'm not saying that's some type of confirmed foreshadowing. All I'm saying is, if you're a fan of Itagaki, like a big like fanatic, and not just, oh, I like the character, like a fanatic, you might want to be worried about Itagaki, because arguably it could not end well for him. Maybe he could be the exception. Maybe he can actually turn his career around. It is a possibility. But what are the chances that it actually happen? What is the chances? Because so far he hasn't tried to do anything. So far he didn't want to change. So far he doesn't want to get anything. Like even the likes of Aoki, who I love, just like I love Kimura, as fantastic characters. Even Aoki has a goal and have brand new techniques. Even he trains with the bell horn. Now we don't know if he's got over his hemorrhoids now after Takamura penetrated his cheeks with his fingers, which is, I'm surprised that Aoki had been able to live longer than 7 months, because that's not 7 years of death. That's 7 months of pain, suffering until you just die. That's But we have the likes of Aoki and Kimura coming up with brand new techniques, and Itagaki has come up with nothing. That should be concerning. Like seriously, are you saying that Kimura get the dragonfish roll and Aoki get the bell horn and go on a winning streak? And the only reason he messed up in that last match was, you know, Takamura gave him hemorrhoids. Are you telling me those two, the ones who just been punching bags, the draw loss machines, are having a more better than decent career than Itagaki, a genius prodigy? Are you serious? And like, no, like, I don't know if people have actually noticed this or not, but Itagaki just has been doing nothing. Like, compared to every other character, he hasn't been doing anything at all. He hasn't changed. And like, so if you guys don't know my opinions about how I treat like Aoki and Kimura, I do not believe that Kimura will ever become Japanese champion. I'm sorry, he'll be going out as a decent fighter, but one of those guys who just wasn't good enough to make it beyond the national stage. And Ryoki, I do believe he'll become Japanese champion, but well, he's gonna have 2 fights and that'd be it. But for Itagaki, the prodigy, the genius, it is some sick foreshadowing, because look at Miyata. Miyata was shut down by good competition. Whether you like the way Mishiba did it or not, Mishiba was going to get that win. Is he a different person now? Arguably. But that's a video for another time. But, this is something I thought about. Well, just like, I need some video ideas, and then I just thought about, have Itagaki evolved? Has he changed? Has he gotten any better? Like, besides from his national talent, what has he done? The exact same thing he usually does. He's not a counter specialist, he's a volume puncher, and that's it. He don't have any special moves or anything unique to him. He's just got some good national talent, and that's pretty much it, and he hasn't done anything else with it. Like, the one idea I thought was just like, why don't Itagaki use any feints? Oh, but the Itagaki shovel is a full body feint. Yes, but even Mishiba is using feints with his flickers. Even him? And technically he doesn't even need it. But he did it against Shinobu and popped him dead in his mouth. So how come Mishiba can do it, who's an outboxer, but Itagaki, who's also an outboxer, somehow have no need for using feint in his volume punching combinations? Because what using feints, he'll be able to open up his opponents more. We'll switch it from head up and down, up and down. Because like, arguably also, this is a similar problem Miyata had for a period of time. Is that Itagaki is a headhunter. He doesn't go to the body from some strange reason. And Miyata had this problem for like a temporary period of time, but like, there is no reason a person like Itagaki should be a headhunter if he's not a counter specialist. At least Miyata is trying to take your head offline permanently. Itagaki is not built like that. He's not made for a one-hit type of thing. So what is he doing? Why is he trying to be an infighter? Why is he constantly trying to look for the validation of Ippo when Ippo is not even his trainer? Shinoda his trainer. Like, just because you spar with Ippo, and it goes back to that video I made with Amai and Itagaki using Ippo as their goal. Because like, with Itagaki, it's getting sad at this point. He's basically becoming Hayami 2.0. He's inches away from being just that. Like, a few more losses, and what would be the difference? They both have good hands, good footwork, and that's it. And also, just like Itagaki, Hayami against Ippo tried to be an infighter to embarrass him. And what happened? He got knocked out for the first time and embarrassed. Similar to what happened to Itagaki. Or what Itagaki is going through recently. When him trying to be an infighter. I'm sorry, but it's some scary parallels. And it's amazing. I can't recall Itagaki being there. Yeah, I don't think Itagaki was there. Well, I think he was in the stands with Hayami when he was fighting that guy. But the fact that he saw that fight potentially and he didn't get anything from it. The fact like characters like Takashi, I can't really never see Itagaki as part of the Kurogama 4. Because it's just not the same as, like, it's not even just with the whole earlier season type of thing. It's a thing where just, like, Ippo, Aoki, and Kimura, and Takamura all bounce off each other. They all balance each other. Itagaki is just kind of the fifth wheel. I love his character, but honestly, when they first, like, helping each other out, they don't really do much. Oh, what about the whole Samura equation? How he helped see a flaw, like he helped find out the Dempsey counter. You're talking about the same counter that was already hinted towards when Ippo was the a part of the Brian Hop was just talking more undercard. What that guy was about to do, if it wasn't for Ippo hitting him first. Talking about that one. Oh, you talking about how the Dempsey was already broken after Shimbukuro just muscled through it. Because honestly, Samura was just more tactical solution to destroy the Dempsey. Ippo would have encountered it one way or another. But I'm not going to act like it didn't help at all. So he did do something. Besides from that, when it first like helping out other guys, Itagaki tried, but he doesn't really do anything either. So it's just, and it's kind of sad because I don't want to see him go. But the way the story is setting up, and how it's just like he could be in competition among Kanuchi Awards with Ippo Fukumi, that's not going anywhere. That's not going anywhere. Well, now sure is unsure because we do have the 1200 chapter woman who showed back up, but that's just a recipe for disaster in my opinion. That's not going to end well. Something's going to happen. I don't know when, but you can obviously tell something's going to happen. Something's going to explode. But that's pretty much it. There's not too much else to talk about with the whole Itagaki evolving and how he can use his footwork and go from the head to the body. He can use feints and then like switch it up to the full body feints. Because even if you watch footage of Muhammad Ali, he wasn't the exact same thing. Like Muhammad Ali arguably is the king of head slips. You'll never see anybody else, in my opinion, perform head slips that close and just humiliate somebody. He was barely moving his head. And he was pulling off Jose Mendoza before Jose Mendoza was even written. It was ridiculous because them head slips were criminal. And Itagaki doesn't really have too much of that either. So it's just, I'm not saying Itagaki is a one-trick pony. I'm just saying that Itagaki is just unrefined metal, and he's not one of those characters who can refine himself by constantly beating on his core and using his own mind to get better. Because he's not, like, he can't take criticism. Now, what Ippo said to him the first time was harsh. You gotta admit that. Because I don't even think the coach would have said that to Itagaki. But the fact that Itagaki didn't take anything that Ippo said to heart to improve himself. Like, he hasn't tried to show that Ippo that his styles work. Cause like, look at the way Miyata competes with his father, and the way Itagaki can compete with Ippo. Ippo trying to change his entire style to prove it's better. Miyata trying to prove that his father's style is better. And even with that style, like after what fight? I forget what fight it was. Even then, Miyata's father's style has been basically molded into Miyata's style and made 10 times better. So even then, it's just like, why hasn't Itagaki tried to prove Ippo my stuff works? I don't need to be like you. I don't want to be like you. I'm done looking for your validation. Because I've tried time and time again, and every time you scold me. Arguably, you can argue that Hammer now is a success. He took Ippo's little blow to heart, and he got better because of it. He was able to have a decent career. I don't know what Hammer now or Yamada is doing now, but in my opinion, he was able to have a decent career. So, if that's the case, then could Itagaki be one of the Ippo students that don't make it anyway? Because arguably you could say that Teihei and Katara are already going to have decent careers, but Itagaki be Ippo's greatest failure? Could Itagaki be Jason Todd? Because arguably he is the second student of Ippo. You could argue that Teihei and Kitaru is the Damian Wayne and the Tim Drake. Oh my god, no. This is not the Batch family. this is not the Bat family. That's actually concerning when you think about it. And also, just like like I was saying, just like Dick Grayson, Yamada went out and started his own career, Hammer Now, and was successful. Could it be that Itagaki is Jason Todd? Oh my God, that's some interesting parallels. But that's pretty much been a video. I don't know your guys' thoughts about the subject. Do you believe Itagaki will ever evolve, or we just believe that he will just be another Hayami 2.0, which would be sad, but it'll be out of my hands. It's up to George. But as people with Shockwave King, I'll let you guys' thoughts and opinions. Do you believe any of my points have valid, or do you believe Itagaki will become better and become a superstar Kronos like he's supposed to be? Will he be the Dr. Kronos of the world? A perfect combination of head slips, feints, perfect head movement, perfect footwork, and pick up some tactics from Sonata and just start attacking your organs and just blam blam. I can't breathe. And then we can call him Dr. Kronos. Really, it's a guy, Dr. Kronos, the organ specialist. That'd be excellent. But it could just all be what's this thing. It'd be more Shockwave King. Hope you guys liked the video. Like, comment, subscribe. What do you think? Will Itagaki ever evolve, or do you believe that he's evolved enough and just need a combat fight? It'd be Shockwave King and peace.